Thank you. I think Walter just said exactly what I was going to say. So he said pretty much everything. But this has been a very, very amazing event, I think. I missed the first day. I arrived late on the evening of the first day. So I was able to participate on the last 2 days. I learned a lot. There were some very eye-opening moments for me. I think I should probably talk about a couple of those. When Mr. Shankar Agarwal talked about the proposed Right to Services Act and I think e-Services Act, those are, I think, things that we probably need to look at in countries like Bangladesh. We were struggling to popularize e-services, try to create demand for it, and also try to create the right kind of capacity within the government to create these e-services. So I think a legal underpinning for e-services or in general service delivery improvement, I think would be quite helpful. I was also happy to see the bottom-up consensus that we need to actually look through the eyes of the citizens. Decisions get made in the cities, in the capitals, by policymakers who may not have direct contact with citizens, their lives and livelihoods. But it is very important to implement at the level of the citizens. I think decisions can be made, policies can be made at the top, but implementation needs to have a decentralized mechanism. So I think I was happy to see consensus in different sessions on this, and Walter mentioned that as well. I also realized that it is possible to learn from other people's mistakes, and I think we are doing that in Bangladesh. We're trying to leapfrog by not committing the mistakes that others may have committed who started early. So we started late, and we have the advantage of not making the same mistakes that other people have done. I also saw, especially during the award night yesterday, that innovation actually comes from the unlikeliest places. We heard about the coal mine story. We saw many different innovations that are coming from small organizations, both government and non-government. And I think that's a very important point to note. We also heard about co-creation. I think that's a new phenomena. I think the book called Macro-Wikinomics probably first introduced the idea of co-creation, but it is happening in real life, that citizens who for centuries, maybe for even longer, have been recipients of services are starting to create services along with the government, along with the non-government service providers. So that's a very new phenomena, and I think it's made possible by ICTs. Without ICTs, without connectivity, without access, without that democratization that ICTs bring, citizens would not have been able to do that. So the co-creation was an important aspect that got mentioned in many different sessions I heard. So I think in future, we may have to have greater focus, a more deliberate focus to bring together the types of co-creation that's happening around the world, and maybe have session tracks on co-creation, possibly. I also saw bilateral cooperation. There was an India-Moldova session that was a unique feature of this conference, that how India, as a pioneer in ICT to deliver services to common citizens and also created IT-enabled service industry, is helping countries like Moldova, or working with, I shouldn't say helping, is working with countries like Moldova and share experiences, and obviously some knowledge transfer will also happen bidirectionally. So I think that was very interesting for all of us to see. One answer to a question that I did not find, and I was looking for it because it's a burning issue in Bangladesh, in bureaucracy. And the issue is, the bureaucracy often asks, how does it help me when I improve services? So the incentive structure within bureaucracy, I think, I don't know if it's the same in other countries. Some of the British legacy, I think, forces us into that quagmire often. But the incentive structure for different levels, different tiers of civil servants to take risks and create an innovation and be rewarded for it, be recognized for it, I think that doesn't exist, at least in Bangladesh. I was looking for answers to that. How do we make it happen in Bangladesh? That obviously there are some risk takers, some pioneers, some champions within the government, and they do it. But can we transform the system so that risk-taking and innovation can actually happen as part of the system? So that was something that I did not find an answer to. Hopefully in future events, I'll be able to find some answer to that question. Had a very interesting meeting with Mr. Shankar Agarwal this morning by skipping a session. And that was to talk about how to organize eAsia 2011 that will happen in Bangladesh. That was launched yesterday. The dates set for that event are December 1, 2, and 3. So from Bangladesh, we're very serious about this event. We have not had an event of this nature with a very ICT focus, ICT for development focus. We have had outsourcing events, but this event will actually bring together a very heavy emphasis on ICT for development as well as outsourcing. So it's going to be a very unique event for us, and I think I invite all of you to join us in that event. I want to spend maybe a couple of minutes to talk about what that event will look like. It may look slightly different from the other eAsia events that you may have participated in, that you may have visited. We were trying to align this, and this alignment is still a little bit in progress. So this alignment is along the lines of the pillars of Digital Bangladesh. That's the 4 areas that we're focusing on right now. Building capacity of our youth primarily, so that they can contribute to the economy in a more productive fashion. Connecting people, and when I say connecting people, I don't necessarily mean just the internet connectivity or mobile connectivity. I'll explain that in a little bit more. Serving citizens, that's generally e-governance, but it's probably a little bit more than e-governance by looking at services first and then looking at ICTs as a tool to deliver the services in the way that people expect it. Driving economy, that's the other aspect, so that's the growth drivers. So not just delivering services and making sure that citizens are satisfied and happy, but actually taking the country to the next level, increasing GDP, increasing the growth. So if you look at what would actually be in these sessions, some of the education sessions that you've had, it will be similar to that. We'll have different type of tracks for primary and secondary education, higher education. We'll have a very significant emphasis on technical and vocational education because we think that that's going to propel the country from where it is today to where it needs to be in 10 years. Different types of skills development through all these different streams. In connecting people, we'll obviously talk about telecom infrastructure, the different types of the usual suspects in that will come. But we would also like to have an emphasis on TV and radio because we see TV and radio as means of delivering education, means of delivering information, means of actually implementing the Right to Information Act that was enacted about 2 years ago in Bangladesh. So these are old ICTs that we don't always talk about that can actually be harnessed to the benefits of people. And obviously the new ICTs such as the mobile phone and internet will also be there. Telecenters will come into connecting people because that's how people in rural areas have access to services, access to ICTs. So that's going to be a major theme. Some regulatory issues that we are struggling with in different countries, of course in Bangladesh. In serving citizens, again, it's mostly going to be e-governance, but looking to the eyes of the citizens. Health, agriculture, law enforcement. Disaster management is a key area for us. As you know, Bangladesh is a disaster-prone country. A lot of natural disasters. So we have excelled and we have built a resilient structure so that we live through and thrive through disasters. So those are some of the things. And ICTs are actually being used in very creative ways. And other countries, we think, could learn from what we're doing in disaster management. Financial inclusion, we've heard quite a bit in the conference in the last 2 days in financial inclusion. We are also taking our own steps in that. And lastly, driving economy. Outsourcing will be a major theme there. IT and IT-enabled services outsourcing. The progress that we have been able to do in the last few years. And the the potential that Bangladesh actually projects to the rest of the world. There's a lot of partnership opportunities. There is a lot of opportunities for outsourcing in Bangladesh. So we'll talk about that. Development of small and medium-sized enterprises using ICTs, so basically making them more productive, making them, creating market access for them, for their products. Government to business services should be under this theme. And lastly, creation of jobs. So the job creation will actually tie in other themes in there. So these are the 4 areas that we're actually envisioning for eAsia 2011 to be held in Dhaka, Bangladesh on December 1, 2, and 3. So I welcome all of you to join there. Thank you very much.